Greetings to each and every one of you, and welcome to another edition of the Red Pill Diaries. And of course, I'm your host, Rashid, and I'd like to thank each and every one of you for giving me another hour of your day and another day of your time, because it is the most valuable, most precious, unrenewable commodity that can be given. And I am really appreciative of the minutes, the seconds, the hours that you spend with me. So let's try to make the most of this, okay? There's so many things in the news, and today's show is called Live, a deeper look at a world at war. So we have so many things going on, and I want to harp back, and I know there's so many things breaking at this moment in the news, okay? So much so that you in the chat will have to keep me abreast of what's going on, because things are changing as we speak. But I want to go back to something from the show we did yesterday, okay? And the show we did yesterday, and we were talking about some of the root causes of the Palestinian-Israeli conflict that no one, absolutely no one, want to talk about. Now, there's one person, and when I said nobody covered it but me, there was one person, Richard Medhurst, that I saw out of all of the pundits that went all in on it. I saw him do that. Other than Richard Medhurst, I've seen everybody else dance around it. I saw Scott Ritter address it with passion and fervor. So I got to remove those two. I haven't checked out my guy, Larry. He and I talked night before last. So, and he told me to check out something. So I checked it out. So I'm going to exclude those three. All right. But everybody else I've heard, they have danced around this situation because they don't want to offend anyone. All right. Now, I want to, while the show was getting ready to come on, I just put in these words. I want you to understand so that how easy it is for you to do it. Okay. So that we can really, really understand exactly what is going on and just where we are. Let me backtrack on this here. I put in, this is what I put in: UN Resolution 1967, Palestine. And this is very important, okay? Because the state of Israel was founded in Palestine in 1948, 1947, 1948. And in this founding of Israel, there was a lot of bloodshed, genocide, and ethnic cleansing that went on. This gets pushed under on the back burner, so no one will be able to point the finger at Israel. But how is it that when Israel talks about inconvenient truths from Germany, everybody is willing to point the finger at Germany for the brutality and the viciousness that Germany put on the back of Israel? Well, if we look at the situation, we have to ask these questions. Why are they trying to suppress the truth? Because it's inconvenient to those in power. Now, I put this in the search engine: UN Resolution 1967, Palestine. And the first thing comes up is UN Peacemaker. And I click on this resolution. This is a resolution. This is UN Resolution 242 of 1967. Remember, it's very important. And it says the Security Council, expressing its continuing concern with the grave situation in the Middle East, emphasizing the inadmissibility of the acquisition of territory by war and the need to work for a just and lasting peace in which every state in the area can live in security. Emphasizing further that all member states in their acceptance of the Charter of the United Nations have undertaken a commitment to act in accordance with Article 2 of the Charter. Number 1, affirms that the fulfillment of Charter principles requires the establishment of a just and lasting peace in the Middle East, which should include the application of both the following principles: withdrawal of Israel armed forces from territories occupied in the recent conflict. Stop right there. Boom, goes the dynamite. Okay? Now, we say that the United Nations is the international body for international law, right? We say that the resolutions passed by the UN Security Council are binding, meaning that if you're in violation of those resolutions, political, economic, and military power can be brought to bear against you, right? Look at what happened to Saddam Hussein. Look at what happened to Muammar Gaddafi. Look at how the U.S., the UK, France, and all of the other nations use UN Security Council resolutions to impose sanctions, to justify Western intervention because of somebody may violate or skirt those resolutions. Well, in 1967, they were urging all parties to abide by the resolution passed by the United Nations UN Security Council, right? And what is the most important thing? Because you say, well, what does that have to do with right now? If you want to know why things are happening, if you want to know the truth of why things are happening, if you want to know the core of what is causing the outbreak of hostilities and violence, then we must get to the underlying root problem. When you have a doctor and you come to this doctor and you're sick, and the doctor says, hey, you have cancer, you don't expect, with all of his learning and all of his insight and all of his knowledge, for him to prescribe for you a pack of Band-Aids and some Robitussin to cure your cancer, do you? Do you? You would look at him as if he's mad. You would want this doctor to go to the lengths to try to go in depth on where this cancer is and what kind of cancer it is and how could you isolate this cancer and how do you kill off this cancer or starve this cancer so that nothing breaks off this cancer and metastasize elsewhere. That's how you preserve the host's body and the host's life. Well, we have to use this logic when we're dealing with reality, when we're dealing with world events, when we're dealing with news. So we're going to use that same logic because there's a cancer eating away at the MENA region, right? And what we have to do is see where the cancer came from. And when we look at what feeds the cancer and what weakens the cancer, then it gives us a better idea of how to isolate the cancer so that the cancer does not take hold of the whole body, right? And render the whole body dead. You understand what I'm saying? Okay, so let's get to this real quick. Let's go back to this. And I'll see you in the chat. I'm going to go to the chat in just a second. Remember, I'm on one computer, so I can only see, I have multiple screens up, but it's not like having the computers around where I'm able to look at everything, multitask like that quickly. So you guys have to bear with me on this, okay? We're going to go back to this because this is very, 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 very important. Resolution 242, 1967, of November 22nd, 1967. So this is when the resolution came into effect, right? Now, I'm going to go to something. I'm going to pull up some maps here in a second, okay? Yeah, let me pull up some maps so we can have a better understanding of what's going on. So as I read you, we're going to look at maps, okay? Share screen, share screen. I think this is the map. Yeah, share this. All right, here we are. It's up. Okay. Okay, I'll enlarge it just a minute for you guys, just in case you can't see. All right. Let's see. Boom, boom, boom. All right, yeah, we are on that. So let's see about enlarging this map a little bit. Boom, boom. Let's move over. All right, I hope you see it better. So let me see if you can see my can you see my mouse on the screen? If not, I'll tell you what. Here we are. Look, the yellow strip of land here is Palestine prior to 1917. That yellow strip of land. Then the next yellow strip with driplets and droplets of green in it is 1946. Then on the establishment of Israel, when they illegally partitioned and took Palestinian territory, This is 1947, the establishment of Israel, when Palestine was relegated to 3 chunks of its own territory, and Israel was given the majority of Palestine. Right there, the third one. Okay? Now, we look at the fourth one. That is 1948 to 1949, where there's no longer 3 chunks and one big chunk. There are 2 chunks, and the biggest chunk was bitten in half right there. Okay, look at that. Now, we go to 1967. Look at that. Look how far the territory of Palestine had diminished and turned over into Israel. Look at that. This is the fifth piece from my left. I think it might be from your right. Okay. I'm not looking at the main screen. I'm looking at the map right now because I don't have my computers. All right, look. Now, that's 1967. Okay. Now, let us go to present day. And here's the kicker. This is where you get the anger and the vitriol and the actions of war by the Hamas. Look at the last picture, which is the present day. Look at what is left of the Palestinian country, the nation of Palestine, right there. All of the green is Israel. All of the yellow is Palestine. Bits and pieces is sprinkled there. So if you look at present day Palestine, and then you look at 1946 Palestine, it is flipped. Almost. You see that? Now, since we have an understanding of that, now let's go back to that UN resolution, because it's very important. The Security Council, expressing its continued concern with the grave situation in the Middle East, emphasizing the inadmissibility of the acquisition of territory by war. Stop right there. Look what it says. Emphasizing, meaning it is putting the lights on, it is focusing on this right here, the inadmissibility of the acquisition of territory. I want to take you to something. Let's go to the dictionary for a minute, okay? Inadmissible. According to the definition, inadmissible is an adjective. It means especially of evidence in court, not accepted as valid. Not accepted as valid. So when these people say that, they have to respect the territorial integrity of Israel, well, it is not valid in court according to UN resolutions. And it goes and says, not allowable, invalid, not acceptable, unacceptable, unallowable, not to be allowed or tolerated. That's the definition. You understand? That is the definition. Put the word inadmissible in Google and you'll see what I'm saying. I'm not making anything up. And look, we're doing this on the fly. This is on the spot. Okay? So now, according to the UN's Security Council resolution, the land that is defined as Israel is inadmissible according to international law, because it was founded on what? The land was acquired through what? War. Is that not right? Let's go back to that. Emphasizing the inadmissibility of the acquisition of territory by war and the need to work for a just and lasting peace in which every state in the area can live in security. Emphasizing further that all member states in their acceptance of the Charter of the United Nations have undertaken a commitment to act in accordance with Article 2 of the Charter. Israel is a signature of the UN's resolutions, the UN's Charter. So how can you be a signature and yet flaunt the very laws that you have promised and sworn to uphold? I'm asking. I'm not making anything up. Go look at it. Matter of fact, if you want to look at it, this is what we'll do. I'm going to show you. Like my mom used to tell us when we would be belligerent, I'll show you better than I can tell you. So hold on 1 second. Let me pull it up on the screen. Give me 1 second. Let me pull it. I like to show you. Oh, I stopped the screen. Hold on 1 second. I was supposed to bring it up and I stopped the screen. Let's see. Is that it? Palestine. I think it's Microsoft right here. So it should be on the screen right here. On the screen right here is the UN resolution right here. I'm putting it up here so that you'll know that I'm not making up anything. I'm not embellishing anything. I'm not adding anything to it. I'm reading it as it is, as it was written, as it was presented, and as it passed the UN Security Council. Okay? Right there. So it says, emphasizing further that all member states in their acceptance of the Charter of the United Nations have undertaken a commitment to act in accordance with Article 2 of the Charter, affirms that the fulfillment of the Charter principles requires the establishment, listen to this, the establishment of a just and lasting peace in the Middle East, which should include the application of both the following principles. Here we are. Withdrawal of Israel armed forces from territories occupied in the recent conflict. Stop right there. So Israel refused to withdraw its forces from those occupied territories. So under international law, listen to me good. Under international law, Israel has been in breach of international law for decades. And this is the result of her flaunting of international law. So is it Palestine's fault? Is it Hamas' fault? Or is it the ones who were in open breach of international law? Would Saddam have gotten the benefit of the doubt with that? Did Saddam get the benefit of the doubt with that? How about Muammar Gaddafi? But Israel has been in breach since 1967. 77, 87, 97, 2007, 2017. That's 56 years that she has been in breach of international law. And now that has warranted a lashing out, a response from those who have been victimized according to international law. See, again, on my channel, on my platform, I give it to you raw, real, uncut, and I give the truth to you. Okay? You may not like it, but you can't disprove it. I give you facts. Now it's up to you to deal with the facts. Now, if you get mad at me for reciting the facts, then you're an opponent of the truth. Because you feel something outside of the truth is more dear to you than you acknowledging what is truthful. I'm not making this stuff up. I was just watching one of the channels. I won't say their name. Big channel, very respected channel. And they were talking about the Palestinian Israeli conflict. And man, I'm telling you, they were beating around the bush and they were trying to make it seem as though they were impartial. But in reality, every now and then they would always frame Hamas as a militant group, Hamas, in certain words, as illegitimate, Hamas and Palestine as being somewhat against international law, and nothing they do justified what they did. Okay, that would be tantamount to if you're raping my sister, and I was a little kid, and as I grew up, I saw you continue to victimize the females in my and the males in my family. Now I've reached a certain strength, I've reached a certain age, and you try that again. Now, if I lash out and I hurt you and hurt some of your family, am I the aggressor? When this has been going on for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, am I the aggressor? It may look like it from me hitting out at you and beating the brakes off you and beating your flip-flops off you and then hurting you real bad. I may look to those who are not aware of the situation as being the aggressor. But when the facts, if the facts ever make it to light, then people would realize, hey, that guy has been wrong. His family has been wronged by these people for 30, 40 years. And when he was being wronged again, he lashed out in the only way he could, because nobody was hearing it. Nobody was respecting it. And while they were talking about sovereignty over here and freedom over there and international law over there and the freedom of international, the freedom of navigation and the freedom of sovereignty of this nation, they ignored my rights as a nation. They ignored my rights as a people. They ignored the security of my family and my tribe and my people. So when I lash out, it looks like I'm a terrorist, but in reality, I'm fighting the terrorists. You have it on the screen right there. I didn't embellish. I didn't write that. Hell, that's not my handwriting. So again, let's read some of that again. Affirms that the fulfillment of charter principles requires the establishment of a just and lasting peace. They're telling you what would be made to have a just and lasting peace. They're telling you that Israel must remove its forces off Palestine and Palestinian land. This was not done. So if that was a requirement for peace and stability, and it was never done for 54, 56 years, and then hostilities breaks out, whose fault is it? It's in the UN Charter whose fault it is. Right? So let's go further. It says, withdrawal of Israel armed forces from territories occupied in recent conflict. Israel did, listen to me, Israel is occupying some of Lebanon. Israel is occupying some of Syria. Israel is occupying some of Jordan. Yeah, because the West Bank. Israel is occupying Palestine and some of Egypt. Gaza Strip. That was Egyptians' territory. So if they refuse to, right, remove their armed forces, what else can you expect when it's written right in the document of what would happen if it didn't happen, if they did not remove them? Look at them emphasizing further that all member states in their acceptance of the Charter of the United Nations have undertaken a commitment. That means that, listen, I guess some of you don't understand what this means. Let's go back to something. All right. Words, baby, words. All right. So the word commitment means, and it's a noun, and it means the state or quality of being dedicated to a cause, activity, etc. Dedication, devotion, allegiance, loyalty, faithfulness, fidelity, responsibility, obligation, duty, tie, charge, liability, burden. So we know that if Israel forces were still there, they did not live up to their supposed dedication, their supposed acknowledged devotion, or their allegiance to the UN Charter, or their loyalty to international law, or their faithfulness to their word, or the fidelity of international peace, or their responsibility as a so-called nation, or their obligation under all treaties under UN mandate, or their duty as a nation under UN auspices, or their ties to international law, or the charge that they were given to honor what was written in their name, or accepted the liability if they refused to, and they were under a huge burden to do so and refused to do it, according to the definition of commitment. Okay? So it says, man, I'm telling you something else. It says, to act in accordance with Article 2 of the Charter affirms the fulfillment of Charter principles requires the establishment of a just and lasting peace in the Middle East, which should include the application of both the following principles. Give you two principles. Withdrawal of Israel armed forces from territories occupied in the recent conflict. termination of all claims of states of belligerency, and respect for and acknowledgement of the sovereignty, territorial integrity, and political independence of every state in the area, and their right to live in peace within secure and recognized boundaries, free from threats and acts of force. We can't go to number 2 if number 1 hadn't been lived up to. Is that not right? I'm asking. Let me go into the chat real quick. All right, let me go. Let's see if they'll allow me in the YouTube studio real quick. I'm doing it one tab at a time, so you guys gotta forgive me. And I'm late on a lot of oh, here we go, Medi. We must all separate our biases and emotions out of the equation and look at the situation realistically and truthfully. Exactly. Shout out to everybody in the chat. I see you in the chat, and I see the conversation, and I'm trying my best to read it while also continuing to talk to the masses who are not in the chat. Okay, so if there's an outbreak of hostilities, and we see, oh, this is heinous. This thing is heinous. Matter of fact, let me bring up something to you. I got to bring something up to you. I still got it. So I'm going to bring this up to you. I'm going to bring it on the screen. Let me take this off the screen and let me bring something up on the screen. Oh, let me take this off real quick, please. All right, now let me bring something up. Man, I'm telling you, these people are so fickle. There we are. Is that it? Is that it? I think this is it. Let me share. Yeah, okay. I want you to look at what's going on in the White House. This guy used to be, I think, an admiral or something in the U.S. military, and listen to him, how he is crying on television about the loss of so-called Israeli lives. He never did that once. Prior to the what is called the new Intifada that is going on right now in Palestine. Show me one time where he showed that much emotion, that much contrition, that's so much hurt and loss for words over a perpetual cycle every day of the Israeli idea of killing children, killing women, killing men, brutalizing women, brutalizing men, brutalizing children, bombing of hospitals, bombing of building the building complexes, and the rationing of food and fuel into the Gaza Strip. Show me one time. I want you to hear what this guy is saying for real. Let me see if I can play him real quick. All right, let's see if I can get it off mute.
These images, Jake, and the
Hold on one second. Let me see if I can get them off mute.
Human beings, they're family members, their friends, their loved ones, cousins,
Can
brothers,
I turn it up so?
Yeah, it's difficult, and I apologize.
Hold on, I'll see if.
Of course, he has nothing to apologize for.
I guess it's low.
I'm sorry. It's very, excuse me, very difficult to look at these images, Jake. And the human cost, and these are human beings. They're family members, their friends, their loved ones, cousins, brothers, sisters. Yeah, it's difficult.
So get this. He said these are human beings. So in actuality, he's saying that the Palestinians aren't. I'm serious. Look, if you infer something about the other, you are also inferring something about the opposite side. So these are fathers and children and mothers, and these are human beings. So it hurts. So what do you view the Palestinians as? Because it never evoked a strong emotion like that on a daily basis for 56 years. It never evoked that. And then one day, when people are trying to reclaim the territory and trying to force the occupier to live up to the UN resolutions, which is in violation of, which you, the United States, helped to author and help to sign into law, international law. They're in violation of that. And yet the people who are trying to force them into trying to live up to their obligations those people are viewed as animals, but the ones who are in violation of it are looked at as human beings. Man, if you don't get out of here with this madness, come on, everybody, be men and women about this. Come on, call an ace and a spade a spade. It's crazy. You got the right one. You got the right one. Yeah. So we're talking about a lot of things that are going on in the news today. We're talking about the United States is talking about arming, and they're talking about deploying another second carrier battalion, aircraft carrier group near occupied Palestine. Diane O'Neill. Boom. I'm gonna put her up there. I just caught this at the why are these people of Israel called Jews and not Israelites? It's because Jews are from Judah. Now, excuse me, I can go into that a lot, okay? But I can't do it on this platform, because if I get into that on this platform, it's adios for the Red Pill Diaries. It's adios. But I did not want you to think that I ignored your comment. But maybe on another platform, Diane, maybe I can go into that a little bit more and offer a lot of proof, okay, on what's going on. And MZ says it's just racism meets geopolitics. Most geopolitics have a compartment of racism. It has to. How the hell can you go around the world bombing, robbing, stealing, and occupying if you don't think you're superior? And if you think you're superior, what part of you makes you think you're more superior than that person? And in what way are you superior to that person and those people? So there's a hint of racism in every compartment of geopolitics, right? Let's see, we got Joel back in the building. We got a whole bunch of people. We got Ken Chow. Hey Ken, man, I always mess up your name. Please forgive me. I mean, charge it to my head and not to my heart. I respect you, and sometimes I want to say your name in there, but I know I mess it up, man. But I still love you. All right. Ken says these are robots. Watch them speak. They act like it, don't it? Medi says, blinking, crying alligator tears. What a dishonorable fraud. That wasn't blinking. That was what is the guy's name? He's the head of the White House. I forget what he's called. He has no real official title, but he was an officer in the Navy. I think he was an admiral, and he's retired. And man, you see how they play musical chairs. And he's a spokesperson or the lead spokesperson for the White House or something. I know he doesn't really have an official title. They sometimes give him a title, but he really doesn't have an official title. Let's see. MZ. And how long does Israel expect to be there? Their existence is tethered to Anglo-Saxon impunity. When this ends, what will become of the entity? See, let me tell you something. I'm glad you brought that up. Remember on the last show, I played you what Joe Biden says about how the United States had to invent, and if they didn't put Israel there, they would have to still invent an Israel there for U.S. interests, right? Now, with the collapsing economic situation, not just with America, but I'm talking about this is global, but specifically and especially America and Europe, with the finances imploding, right? This is bringing to bear anger and desperation. Now, when the cards all fall and there's no more house of cards, and all of the cards have fallen down, without the financial backing of the West, without the military backing of the West, there could be no entity, occupying entity. There just can't be. There cannot be. And this is what's getting crazy. Check this out. I knew something was up prior to this moment. And remember, Egypt said that they warned Israel and the United States that something major was getting ready to happen. Now, I noticed the United States was trying to apply pressure to Egypt all this month and all last month. They started bad mouthing them. Then they started sanctioning them. Then they started cutting off funding that they normally use to bribe these governments with. They started cutting off the funding and rerouting it, and then starting to accuse Egypt and other nations like that of violations of this and violations of that. If that's not a telltale sign, tell me what is. Tell me what is. So Richard Nixon says something very important when describing the situation in the Middle East. And he talked about that the West must do everything that it can to hold Egypt into its orbit. And he said, if we lose Egypt, we lose the Middle East. Because he knew that Egypt had the greatest potential to not only I'm getting text messages. I might be joined by my co-host shortly. I'm hoping so. Anyway, Egypt had the greatest potential militarily to challenge Israel, and it was also a backer at times with they call insurgent groups, right? It's crazy. I never get to. I hate to say that, but I want you to understand what an insurgent is. All right. This is what America said in Iraq. This is what they said in Afghanistan. This is what they called the North Koreans when they were in the Korean War. This is what they called the Vietnamese when they were fighting the Vietnam War. Insurgents. Now, these people are indigenous to Palestine, the Palestinians. They are fighting for their homeland. They're fighting for recognition. They're fighting for freedom. They're fighting to be free and independent under the sun as an independent nation where their children and their families can live in peace, right? And they're fighting a power that was imposed upon them by the United States, France, and Germany, and the UK. And America calls the people who are indigenous to the land insurgents or terrorists. Remember, the people in Afghanistan, they were insurgents and they were terrorists. Remember the people in Iraq, they were insurgents and they were terrorists. Remember the people in Korea, they were insurgents and they were terrorists. America's never a terrorist. She's not indigenous nowhere over there, and yet has multiple bases everywhere. And she's not an insurgent and she's not a terrorist. How does that work? How? Do you ever sit down and ask because they use wordplay. Man, hold on one second. They're messing with this screen now. Come on, stop this. So if they go to war with China, well, they don't want a land war at all with the Chinese. You can forget that. You can forget that. You get in a land war with the Chinese, you can cancel Christmas, Easter, and every other Western holiday. It's not happening. All right? The Chinese will not be playing one bit. Okay? And they have warned you as much. I want you to look at this. All around the world, there's conflict. Okay? You know, in math, when you want to find a solution to a problem, right? Like in math, in multiplication, you take your multiplier times your multiplicand, and you come up with a product, right? Right? And when you want to do other math problems, what do? You find the common denominator. So we're going to find the common denominator to the conflicts around the world. Okay? There's a conflict in Syria. Who's present? The United States and the UK, right? There's a conflict brewing in the Caucasus between Azerbaijan and Armenia. Who's present there? Who just flew there? Samantha Power, right? There's a conflict going on in Central Asia. Who was there months ago? Victoria Nuland. There's conflict going on in Western and Eastern Europe. Who's present there? The United States and the UK. There's a buildup for war in the Indian Ocean. Who's present there? The United States and the UK. There are provocations in the South China Sea and the Pacific realm and all across the Asian continent. Who's present? The United States and the UK. We see a buildup and an influx of terrorists and terrorism in Northern Africa. Who's present? The US and the UK and France and Germany and Italy and Canada. There is uprisings all across Latin America. Who's present? The United States, the UK. So now, when we look at all of these areas where conflicts are, if something keeps popping up, if something, like if you look over here, when a doctor does an analysis and he says, oh, I see this polyp here. He looks, oh, there's a polyp there. Oh, and he follows the trail and he says, oh, I know what's happening with your prostate. You have these polyps here. And they are all going in a certain way, and it is cutting off your veins or whatever, right? So they come up with an action plan to free your bowel movement by the removal of the polyps. So you go and you have them surgically removed. And then before you know it, you're no longer constipated. You no longer feel like you have hemorrhoids and you're able to use the bathroom. And I'm not trying to be vulgar. I'm just talking to you, okay? But if the polyps were never removed, they would have metastasized and become cancerous, right? And then the life of the host body would have been in danger of death. So the doctor had to move in and remove the polyps to ensure life for the host body, but at the expense of the death to the polyps, right? Well, we see polyps all across the world, the UK and the US, France, and European nations that are occupying. They refuse to recognize other nations as their equal. They are refusing to accept something better, something fairer, something more just. They look at Africa. I remember a few months ago, I was doing a show and I was reading Joseph Borrell, the foreign secretary, foreign spokesperson, or whatever you want to call him, from the European Union. And then as I was reading something that he said, I was also reading something that the foreign minister of the Russian Federation stated, Minister Sergei Lavrov. I think he's one of the best foreign ministers, bar none, out there, completely heads and shoulders above anything that the West has produced. I believe there are 3 that are super top tier, and then I believe there's another 4 that are pretty good themselves. I believe Sergei Lavrov. I believe the foreign minister for South Africa, she's awesome. And I believe that Wang Yi of China, those are the 3 top tier foreign ministers, bar none, heads and shoulders above everybody. And then I think the Burkina Faso's ambassador to the UN is awesome too. I heard his speech and what he went into. Oh my God, this guy is awesome. For real he is. So check out his UN speech, okay? And you tell me if what I'm saying is wrong. But anyway, and it's only 30 or 40 minutes, okay? So when you look at it, go to geopolitics. Let's see, what is it? I forget the name of it, because they give you the right interpretation of what he's saying. He speaks French, but they give you the English interpretation and the English voice on top of it. The guy's awesome. But when we look at Lavrov, and I was looking at him, and he said Borrell told him personally to stay out of our Africa. This is what he says. And listen, Joseph Borrell didn't refute what he said. Sergei Lavrov said that Joseph Borrell told him point blank, stay out of our Africa. Africa belongs to Europe. I'm not joking. I am not joking. Go Google this stuff. So they still look at other nations as subjects. And this is what is clouding and blocking their understanding of a changing world. There's a changing paradigm, and because they can't see it or bring it into focus, they're being left behind. And this is causing them to lash out at everybody and call everybody else terrorists. Everybody else setting up debt traps. Everybody else is doing the same stuff that they came to power on. Colonization, fomenting war, color revolutions, and perpetual debt traps of nations is what they accuse other nations of, because they see that all of the instruments that they use to promote and push their policy and their opinion and their perspective are now eroding, and this is causing them to lash out from the U.S. to the UK to the EU. That's what's going on. This is what's going on in real time. So we have that. So let me go to RT for a minute. Now, here we are right here. So now they're talking about, where is that article at? So if they had any respect for you and I, look, Russia and China caught them red-handed with their biolabs, right? Right? And instead of them fessing up, they fessed up in congressional hearings. Oh yeah, we got them. But in front of the camera, oh, those are innocent biolabs. And then they come back and say, well, we can't reveal it's national security. We can't reveal what those biolabs were for on Russia's border, on China's border. Why didn't America put them on her borders? Why aren't they all across the United States? If they are so vital to U.S. interests, why do you have to put them on the borders of others? Huh? Why are you studying the DNA of Slavic people or of Chinese people or of African people? I bet you most of you don't know this, that when Ebola broke out across Africa, did you know that the very area that the Ebola broke out on, the United States had biolabs there? Did you know that? And guess what they were studying? Mutation of Ebola. Did you know that? What are the odds? So Russia is reporting this. Here's a headline: Washington moving illegal bio research to Africa. That's from Moscow. It says documents confirm the activities of key Pentagon contractors in several countries on the continent. The Defense Ministry, Russian Defense Ministry, has alleged the U.S. is transferring dual-purpose biological research activities to Africa. The Russian Defense Ministry claimed on Monday, citing Pentagon documents. According to Lieutenant General Igor Kirillov, who leads the nuclear, chemical, and biological protection troops of the Russian armed forces, the move is in response to Moscow's effort to expose Washington's illegal military biological operations. He also cited the worsening epidemic situation near biosites in the European region. So check this out. What is another reason why they're doing that? Could it be that Africa is in rebellion against colonial rule? Huh? Could it be that they need another bioscare so that the West can send in aid so that they can further entrench themselves in Africa, so that they can try to stymie or stop the building of friendship between Russia and Africa and Africa and China and Iran and African nations? Could that be an incentive? And to experiment with new bio warfare and germ warfare elements, and then put it in the news and say these people are suffering from malnutrition, or these people are suffering from the outbreak of this and it came from the same thing that they tried to do with China. This is a nation, these are people in the West that don't respect life. And they will lie to you in a drop of, man, I'm telling you, it's unreal that you guys fall for the okie doke every single time. Every single time. No, because they have the bully pulpit, the media. You'll fall for it every single time. And America, notice this, she always points the finger at someone else. when she's doing the dirt. China is in Africa getting nations addicted to debt. China is in Asia getting people addicted to debt. And then you say, well, America, how did you come to power? How did you get so entrenched into Africa? Well, we're not talking about that. We're talking about China. No, how did you? Through colonization. And once you suppressed and exploited those people, you came back in and said, hey, we'll help you. Sign these IMF agreements. You got to destroy Social Security or something of that sort. You got to destroy anything that is aiding the very people that the agreement was supposed to be signed to help. And then the United States and the West brings in their companies and siphon off the money that the IMF loaned to that country, and the country never gets the money. It is those Western nations that get the money, and then that country is mired in debt, and only a few people receive benefits from the billions upon billions of dollars that the West supposedly loaned, and they are trapped and mired into a perpetual debt cycle, and nobody says a thing. Nobody says a thing. And they're still acting as if the debt cycle is. If I was those nations, I would tell America to go to hell. I would tell the West, if I owed you something, I would tell them, as long as I owed you, you will never go broke. Now get it how you live. Think about this. How are you going to steal all of the resources and then you're going to charge me for stealing the resources? How are you going to milk my resources to keep your economy afloat? And then tell me that you're going to loan me back some of the stuff that you stole from me, and I got to pay you interest on some of the stuff you stole from me. Man, I'm a different kind of dude. I'm a different kind of guy. You can't do that to me. You will not be able to exploit me like that. I won't allow it. I will not allow that. And for these people to allow it, under UN law, if these countries feel that these agreements where the West came in under shady leaders, and these shady leaders signed these agreements with these Western nations, which mired these nations in a debt, that under UN law, you can nullify that. You can refuse to pay because those were illegal and predatory contracts. You know that, right? These nations need to put that into play. And then they want you to look at China. Yeah, every now and then, it may be one or two people may be exploiting the people from Africa out of China, but the vast majority of the Chinese, they're building railroads, colleges, universities, something that's tangible for the people. They're investing in a whole bunch of other stuff, and they're transferring the manufacturing capacity to Africa. The world doesn't understand that China may be the manufacturing superpower to the world, but China is making it where Africa is China's manufacturing hub. And the West has a problem with that because it offers Africa independence economically, technologically. It makes them sovereign nations, truly sovereign nations. And what did Vladimir Putin say? That is a no-no. No nation can be sovereign under the United States. No nation can be sovereign in the Western system. There's only one sovereign under the so-called rules-based order, and that one sovereign is the United States. Mr. Vladimir Putin. So, shout out to Serious Business. Serious Biz. Yeah, MZ, yeah. About that when I was talking about Egypt, yeah. Because Egypt would not give weapons to Ukraine, and the United States started turning the screws on them. That's what they did. They always do that. Let's see. MZ says, insurgent and terrorists equal the brown and black enemy of neocolonialism. Hey, listen, the system, as I said, it used to be just that equaled black and brown. Now it's yellow and white too. If you are a poor white country and you want independence, they'll come at you too. The system is feeding upon itself now. And that's why now more than ever, they need to cash out of the system, because the system is becoming more and more desperate, and it's feeding upon everybody, because it will not allow anybody to truly be sovereign. Okay? My man Ken Chow says, let's see, the U.S. is a paper tiger. Hey, she still got a little bite now. Don't get it twisted. She still got a little bite. Listen, this is one of the main things. Economically, she's a has-been. Politically, she's declining in ways unlike anything we've ever witnessed before. Militarily, most of her weapons are a joke, but she still has the fighting capacity to lay the world in ruins. And we can't overlook that. And when you've ruled so long and you've had everybody bow to you, and you think that everything must be under your wings, and don't tell me this is not the thought of America, because every time they say something, they say America must lead. We'll form a new world order, and America must lead this. Another international order, and America must lead this. How the hell we want you to lead? If we look at the track record of your leadership, who in their right minds would allow you to lead? War after war after war after war. You've been at war your whole history, and you've taken the world to 2 world wars, and you're pushing to the 3rd. And you think I want you to lead me? Man, you can't lead me down an alley. So, let's see. Yeah, America is the biggest terrorist. You point blank. And Ken Chow say, for sure. For sure. Listen. I got you. That was a good one right there. I like that. A lot of people might not pick up on what you just did, but I did. Okay, play on words. I like that. Let me see. Can I translate this? I'm hoping I can. Let's see. Let me see if I can translate it. Maybe I can translate it in YouTube itself. I don't like to be disrespectful. I'm not going to be disrespectful. I respect everybody like that. Let's see. Oh, my God. Everybody, hold on 1 second. Let me plug this in. It's going dead. Hold on 1 second. I wasn't even aware of it. Hold on 1 second. All right? So give me 1 second. All right. Oh, man. Right here. Hold on, everybody. Hold on. All right. There we go. There we are. Let's see. Let's see my cord. Son. Okay. Thank you, son. Thank you. My son hooked it up. He hooked it in. All right. We got a little bit more juice. Now let me go back to this real quick. All right. Thank you, son. Let me up. Ken Chow, he's laughing. I caught on what you did. The play on words. That was awesome. Let's see. Hold on, everybody. The YouTube studio is acting crazy. Hold on. It does that from time to time. It knocked me out of the YouTube studio, so I'm trying to get back in. And some of the, where in the world? Now, I know. All right, Joel. Joel said, Rashid, I'll catch you in a bit. I'm on my way home. All right, Joel. Hey, be safe on your way home too, okay? You know how these people drive out here. Medi says, MZ, it is the Israeli lobby that owns all the Washington D.C. establishment. Israel is a big buyer of American weapon systems. Our MIC loves Israel. Yeah, let's go. I'm trying to see if they're gonna play now on my chat in my StreamYard. I picked up the Chinese writing. For you who wrote this, I want to apologize. YouTube doesn't show me you on there. I'm not seeing you in the chat. I only picked you up on my StreamYard. I don't know why. So I apologize to you if I can't translate it. I probably could translate. I probably could translate that if it was on my YouTube chat, but it's not. I'm sorry. I really apologize to that. YouTube, you suck. Let me retract that statement. YouTube, you could have done better. Let me say it like that. I want to apologize because I just cannot translate that. But thank you for joining the chat. If you know a little English, could you put that in English? Because I don't want to disrespect you or overlook your statement, okay? Because it could be profound or it could be a joke. It could be profound, and we really want to hear what you have to say, okay? Oh, no, sir. Hey, I got a surprise for you guys. We're about to get off the air. We're about to go off the air, but hey, look, I was about to get off the air, but I'm going to stay on the air for a few minutes, for at least 10 or 15 minutes. I got a surprise for everybody. I got to bring my surprise in to my guy, to my co-host. He's back in the building. Rashid, how is it going, man?
It's going real good, brother. I'm settled, and I'm back in.
Yeah, man, it's good to see you back in. It's good to see you back in. You're finally in your place, man.
But I can't put you on the computers, only on the cell phone. The computer keeps saying there's no such website.
Hey, live on air, you hear that? This is what they're doing to me. This is what they're doing to me. Now I want to, Rashid, hold on one second. I want to go back to the chat real quick. Let's see. MZ says, let's go. Nuland's pathologically deceptive answer to Rubio's rehearsed question about Russian biolabs during the Senate hearing is an admission that U.S. created the labs. Yeah, but do you know, even with that, do you know she, in one of the hearings, she admitted under oath that the U.S. did have labs over there, but she tried to clean it up a little bit and tried to say that there was nothing nefarious about the labs. But she admitted that they had them over there. Let's go back. Let's see. MZ says confession through projection. Right. Let's see. Hold on, Rashid. I was answering a few and posting a few statements out of the chat. Destroy your own crops and become a banana republic so the West can have your banana for cheap and sell you every other type of food. True. Let them have it, Rashid. I'm trying to. Let's see.
Well, you see, they gave me a little screen.
Yeah.
I'm chopped in half.
Yeah.
Like I say, I've been trying for the last 10, 15 minutes on the computer, but it won't pull up the website. I don't know why.
Well, you know why. You know why. Come on, you know why.
Yeah,
you being diplomatic about it. You know why.
You get to talking about truth, and you find that you have a lot of problems around here. You know, if you get up here and start lying and talking about sports, how big some girl's booty is, and you get no problem. But when you get to saying something that's meaningful or something that means something, then you have a lot of problems among these people.
Mm-hmm. So, what do you think? Before we close out, we're gonna do a few more since people are just joining. We're gonna stay on a few more minutes. And because my brother's joining me, my good friend, my good brother is joining me. I hadn't seen my co-host in a while, and we got to give him a few minutes. And I'm so happy to see him on the air with us. What do you think about Hezbollah openly stating that Israel killed a few of their fighters, and now that they will retaliate.
They should have got in the fight long ago. You cannot fight an enemy. It's just like your fist, right? If you fighting somebody with one finger, right? It's not it won't do anything. But if you fighting on with all of them and close that fist, unite it, then you can have a meaningful outcome. You gotta unite in order to fight somebody who is ruthless. You can't play around. And my thing is those let me say hand-picked puppets of those Arab states. They must be feeling pretty tight, right? The feet is getting pretty tight on them. Because you don't have to put if he annihilates the Palestinians like he's trying to do, what is the rest of them gonna do?
Mm-hmm.
And as I said before, Egypt, every last Egyptian need to walk around with a bag over their head, known as the unknown Egyptian. Nasser was the one who trumpeted Arab unity. And look what Egypt is today. It is a joke. It is an absolute joke. They can't even do, they bombing their brother and he can't even open up the front door to let him in.
And you know what? And so I look at these leaders, and I was going to talk about this earlier, but since you're on there, we might as well talk about it for a few minutes. So when we look at these leaders, one of the most outspoken leaders in the Middle East is Erdogan. And it's ironic that Erdogan does not mind bombing Iraq. He does not mind occupying northern Syria. He does not mind being outspoken about the Palestinian cause. Why the hell hasn't he offered troops, warships, and warplanes in the defense of the Palestinians? Because he has all the wherewithal. He's the second most powerful military in NATO.
Well, you know how it is when the boss tells you to do something, you're a second, you're underling. You can't go against the boss, and it shows that all of his rhetoric is nothing because he can't do anything. Mm-hmm. The only one who can, and then even all the rest of them,
keep talking.
You see your brother over there getting bombed to hell, and you sitting up there talking about I condemn him. What the hell was it condemning? Send me for soldier or get in the fight. And if you can't do that, get out of the fight. That's right. You're worthless if you can't do anything. It's ridiculous. It is utterly ridiculous to sit back and let him blow up women, children, and stuff, and this cat is over here in a palace eating chicken and lamb. Talking about, I can't do anything. Why you can't do anything? Because every last one of them Arab leaders is owned by America and England and Israel. Owned. Yeah. Just like you own your shoe, right? Your shoe can't get up and do nothing without you putting it on, right? It can't walk nowhere. But if you put your shoe on, you can go anywhere. And this is what these guys are. Remember who put them in charge? America, England, Israel, France, and the rest of Western states. They put all of these people in charge.
Right.
And now, he can't do nothing without his master telling him what to do.
Right. Listen, everybody, we're going to have Brother Rashid back on the show with us. Again, and he and I are going to do a private stream for channel members shortly. Not tonight, but probably tomorrow. I have to leave. I just got a phone call. My daughter just called me. That's why I blacked the screen. My daughter just called me. I got to go get her from work. I enjoyed every minute of it. Rashid, I'll hit you up shortly.
Hopefully, I'll be able to get on the computer and they won't see a small, trimmed down version of me. They're making me feel 2 feet tall.
well, on that, hold on. Let me see what's in the chat real quick before we go off. All right, Ken, peace to you too, Ken. Now, everybody, on that note, we go out the same way we always come in with the love in our heart for truth and the love for you if you love truth, and know that our love will always pale in comparison to the love that our God has for you. Until we next speak again, stay strong, stay true, but above all things, stay righteous. Hey, mama, your baby boy loves you more than life. Deuces, everybody. We out of here. We love you.